This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so now let's talk about certain important points related to baseline configuration. Now I want you to remember these points as it is in the similar sequence that I mentioned. Okay, what is everything we will understand in the upcoming sessions, but initially it is very important, mandatory that you must remember these points when somebody talking about baseline configuration. Baseline configuration. The same thing, some people call it as enterprise structure, some call it as global parameters, or some call it as org structure. But whatever it is, you are referring to the same thing. You will start from company code, chart of account. There is a list of activities that you need to perform. All these things are part of your baseline config. In your real environment, when you're talking to somebody, it is always recommended you use a term called baseline configuration instead of enterprise structure, global parameters, or org structure. In this, we'll try to understand what are the different settings that you need to maintain in order to complete the baseline configuration for every company code that you practice, for every company code that you create, whether in your test environment or in your live environment. So I'll just list out the settings alone. I'll not expand anything. First thing, you need to keep these points memorized in your mind so that when you talk about baseline config, you will not talk the basic points. You will talk everything which is related to baseline configuration to make a company code complete according to real environment. So I'll put sequence and then I'll write. First I'll put company. Second one, company code. Third one, assignment of company code to company or company to company. Either ways you can refer it, but only one way is correct. We cannot use either ways. Point number 4, chart of accounts. Point number 5, fiscal year. I'm not expanding chart of account. Inside chart of account, what you are going to maintain, I'm not writing now. That I will explain in the next session. Fiscal year. Next one, posting period variant. Let me put full name of it. Fiscal year variant. Posting period variant. Next one, field status variant. And next one, tolerance groups. Next one, document splitting. Next one, controlling area. Next one, tax procedure. After this, non-leading ledger, parallel currencies. Next one, accounting principles. Next one, exchange rates. Next one, profit center basic settings. Next one, profit center master data. Next one, cost center master data. Next one, GL master data. Any other points are we missing?
Can we consider withholding tax also, sir?
No, that is business process configuration. So we are now talking about baseline configuration.
Sir, define account group.
That is part of chart of account.
Consistency check.
Okay.
Right, consistency check, correct. Consistency check for company code. Next one, document number ranges. GL document posting. Any other settings that anybody feel that is missing?
Written earnings.
That is part of chart of account.
Integration with FI and CO.
Yes. So GL master profit center consistency check. So I'll put this here. Integration of FI and CO. Any
Cost of
other
sales
point?
accountant. Cost of sales accountant.
That is also business process configuration. If you want to use cost of sales accounting, we need to activate cost of sales, and that's a different process that we will understand as part of business process config.
Okay.
Sir, business area control
Business
creation.
area, normally we don't use business area, so I'm not creating as part of this.
Okay.
That is only created towards your logistics point of view to treat plant as a business area, but from finance point of view it is not mandatory.
Business place.
Business place is also related to your tax related settings.
Okay.
Define retained earnings account.
Yeah, this
Retained earnings is part of chart of account.
Sir, controlling number ranges.
credit control area.
Field control is here, field status variant.
No, credit control.
Credit control is also not mandatory. That is also as part of your business process called credit management.
Okay.
Sir,
Serial
open and
number
close
ranges.
posting periods.
Which one?
Open and close posting periods variant.
That is part of posting period variant.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I have not expanded this setting. Okay, please be on mute, those who are not talking. Alright, let's assume that these are the settings that are to be maintained as part of your baseline configuration whenever you create any company code. Okay, whatever may be the purpose, whatever may be your intention, whether you want to create a company code just for testing purpose or for practice purpose, always make sure these 24 steps are mandatory. These are the 24 broad steps. If you expand everything, there may be certain steps. If you open chart of account, you will get 4 steps inside the chart of account. If you open fiscal year variant, you will get 2 steps. If you open posting period, you will get 3 steps. If you open field status, you will get 2. Tolerance group, you will get 3. Document splitting, you will get around 4 to 5 settings. Controlling area, you will get 3 settings. Tax procedure, you will get 1 setting. Likewise, each setting may be expanded further to make sure that it is completely configured, and in such a way that you need to remember this baseline configuration. If anybody is asking you a question or if you're thinking about creating a new company code, make sure without these parameters, without these points, you are strictly not allowed to post any document on your company code. So forget how you posted your company code transactions previously, but keep these points mandatory. Without this, strictly your document is not supposed to be posted in your company code. No exceptions for this. You must follow as it is. Which means here there are certain things that you need to keep in your mind. You must create non-leading ledger. You must create parallel currencies. You must create accounting principle. You must create exchange rate. All these points. Based on all these points only, we will be creating the first document. With all these parameters, whatever the document that you create in your company code, this is exactly the same document that is created in any organization which is a global company. When we talk about a global company, you are talking about a company which is operating in multiple countries. If there is a company which is operating only in India, small company, they may be not using certain settings from this, but you do not consider such companies where certain settings are not used. If certain settings are not used, which you are aware of, it is easy for you to understand. But there is a company which is using certain settings, but you are not aware of it. That is where you come to a confusion state. That is where you feel that you are not aware of these things. That situation we should not face. That is why we are adding majority of the points which are used in global customers or in global company codes. Okay. Now these settings will have to be memorized for you. First point, when somebody is asking you about what is the baseline configuration, make sure you go in the same sequence. You may shuffle the sequence, but make sure you cover all these 24 points. So after GL document, let me put another one. Let's say display a document. Make sure you are able to post a document and you are able to display the document, for which we have listed 25 steps. These 25 steps will form you to create a first accounting document in your company code in a proper way, which is exactly the same as your real environment. Once you achieve this, from there onwards, you are going to start your fresh company code configuration from the beginning. Now this, whatever is listed on your Excel sheet, to understand, to configure conceptually without having any confusions, we may take approximately a month time. Approximately we will take 1 month time, wherein you are able to create all these things along with different other criteria, like in an implementation project, what you will do, what is your implementation, what is your support, what is your rollout. In an implementation project, what exactly you will work, and in the implementation project, how do you migrate your data. If it is ECC, what is LSMW, what is BDC. If you are on S4HANA, what is your LTMC, what is your migrate your data. All these points we will understand. Based on that, you will understand what are the master data templates. How do you create a master data template? How do you gather the data from your client or the user? How do you validate your master data? How do you upload the master data for creation? After that, how do you collect your transaction data, legacy transaction data or historical or existing data? In short, you will collect a trial balance. How your trial balance is collected from the client. This trial balance, how we are going to understand. How do you break down the trial balance into multiple partitions, like GL balances, customer balances, vendor balances, asset balances, cash balances, material balances, P&L accounts, and how do you split according to different account assignments. Let's say, what is the profit center wise breakup in the trial balance? What is the cost center wise breakup in the trial balance? If there are multiple currencies, what is the local currency amount? What is the foreign currency amount? Will your client provide you the trial balance in both the currencies or single currency? If it is provided in single currency, how we are going to convert the group currency or the additional currencies? For converting this, how do you create the exchange rates? What exchange rate you will consider? Who will provide the exchange rate? All these points we will understand. After that, we will upload the trial balance. We will download the trial balance. We will verify our existing trial balance on the Excel sheet is as it is downloaded from SAP. After that only we are going to create the first GL document. Till then we will not be creating, because this is what is going to happen when you are working for any implementation project. Keep this point in your mind right from the beginning, so that whenever you talk about any company code creation, it is always migrating the existing data or the legacy data. In short, whenever you're talking about migrating the legacy data, you are straight away talking about a trial balance. So if you say that I do not know trial balance, I have not seen trial balance on SAP, that will sound very, very bad, which we should not say that I do not know trial balance, or I do not know how to understand the trial balance, how to break down the trial balance, how to upload the trial balance, how to download the trial balance. Without this activity, no company code is created in any organization, no matter what. Now, if you are not aware of this, straight away we create a company code, straight away we are posting a document. At one fine day, at the end of your training, if you are able to understand these points, you will never understand what is cutover activity. You will never understand what is data migration. You will never understand what exactly you will do when you're in any implementation project. These points, when you understand at the beginning, that is where you are going to visualize going forward. Initially there may be a slight confusion, but going forward you find everything is very simple, very easy. If you go through in a sequential order, going forward everything will be easy for me to explain, everything will be for you to understand easily. Otherwise, I will have to struggle to make you understand. You will also have to struggle to understand. So let us not create any point or any situation wherein I have to struggle to make you understand. I don't want to create any confusion going forward. I don't want you also get into any confusion getting things clarified or getting the concept understood properly. For which let us put a little extra effort from the beginning itself to make sure that you will not get into any situation where you are confused, or whatever you talk somebody will tell it is wrong. So that situation you should not face it, and you should not say that you told me something but somebody is telling this is wrong. That situation I don't want to see. I also do not want you to face that situation. Okay. Now these configuration steps, whatever we have, is the basic outline of your baseline configuration. I will be expanding everything along with the transaction code. I will show each and everything in the sequential order. In the same sequence order, I will be configuring one company code initially in 1909 version, and slowly, maybe in a week or 2 weeks time, we will take 2021 version. We will start configuring in 2021 version also. Okay. Once this baseline configuration is completed, next points that you need to remember is, this is first stage. After this, you need to talk about data migration process. How you are going to migrate data, in short the legacy data. Let me put legacy data migration process. If you are working on any implementation project, you should keep in your mind always you are working on an implementation project. Whenever you are practicing, whenever you're creating a new company code, keep this point in your mind. You're working for an implementation project. So keep something always in your mind before you do anything on SAP. Never do anything blindly on SAP. That will lead to unnecessary confusions later on. At that moment, everything will sound easy. You will find everything very simple. I'm able to do it. But later on, that will lead to so many unwanted, unnecessary confusions, question marks. When it comes to data migration process, in short, the legacy data migration process, we will talk about this once we have these settings understood. But even before that, I want you to know what it is exactly. Here you will be assuming that existing system and a new system. So you will be understanding your existing system as anything. Let's say you may assume it as Tally, you may assume it as Oracle, you may assume it as JD Edwards, Okay, you may assume it as Microsoft Dynamics. There are different applications which different organizations will use on their day-to-day business process recording. You can consider any one thing. Whatever you consider is not going to create any impact for us. You need one system which you will consider as existing system or legacy system. I can put existing / legacy system. Some call it as existing, some call it as legacy system, but it is the same. Okay, new system, you are going to talk about SAP. When you talk about SAP, it can be SAP ECC or S4 HANA, either ways. So whether it is ECC or it is S4 HANA, the process that you are going to follow, the logic that you use for migration is the same. In this, what you need to do is, point number one, we need to know the project go live date. This is very important. You need to know the project go live date, because our intention, our requirement is to make sure that you are working a new company code which is an implementation project. According to this, any implementation project will have a go live date. First, keep a date in your mind. Always assume that you take any date. Let's say, for an example, I am going to take current month to make sure that we will not get into a confusion. I will say go live date is equal to, let's say, 7th July. I'll say 28th July 2023. I am saying that this will be the go live date. So by the end of go live date, or by the time you reach go live date, you need to make sure everything is completed. When you talk about everything is completed, you're talking about you would have taken the business requirement, you would have understood the business requirement. After that, you did prepare different documentation like blueprint and all. After that, you did configuration. After that, you did testing. After that, you moved all the transport requests into the production system. In the production system, you have made certain cutover activities. In the production system, before handing over system to the client, you do something called cutover. This cutover activities, assuming that you have done it, and after completing all the cutover activities, you will go live on 28th July 2023. On this date, what exactly will happen? First point. What will happen and on go live date? These points we need to understand. If you're talking about everybody says, I know how implementation happens, ASAP methodology or activate methodology, you will tell the sequence. And if you have been asked a question, I don't know, everybody is talking about implementation project. And in the implementation project, if somebody is talking about go live date, what exactly is the go live date? So you may say that go live date is nothing but date on which you are handing over system to the client. Go live date is nothing but date on which you are handing over system to the client. In short, if you purchase any car, the moment you receive the car, you will have some kind of celebration, right? They will hand over a big key to you, they'll take a pictures and all. Same thing happen when you do a go live for your SAP also. You are going to deliver system to the client. This is not a physical thing that you deliver to the client, right? What your client will do on go live date. So your client top management, somebody from the top management will log into SAP system. Okay, somebody from the client top management will log into SAP system. They will create the first transaction in SAP. On go live date, what will happen? Your client top management, if you are getting confused, you can ignore that. Your client will log into SAP system. They will create first transaction in SAP. When you're talking about first transaction in SAP, this is strictly the sales transaction. First transaction is always sales entry or sales transaction. First transaction is always a sales transaction. This is kind of a sentiment, because when you do sale, you are going to get profit. Your revenue is recognized only when you do a sale. That is the sentiment that every client on every project go live will record a sales transaction. Okay, they may be creating a sales order delivery, and they will create a billing document. They will take the printout of that billing document. Everybody will do clapping. You will do a cake cutting ceremony. That's it. You say that we will now go for a lunch, or we will go for a team dinner. A party will be arranged. That is where you are going to conclude that this project has been gone live, or the project to go live is completed. So you must know what exactly happens on project go live. So what will happen? On project go live date, everybody will gather. Somebody from your client will log into the SAP system in production, and they will create a sales transaction. Once the sales transaction is created, posted successfully, everybody do a clapping, you will do a cake cutting, you will have a team lunch or party. That's it. Nothing beyond this will happen on your go live date of any SAP project. Now, when you know this is what is going to happen on go live date, before this there are a lot of efforts that you need to put in to reach to this final stage. Alright, so for this you will have point number 1. Okay, I'll put business requirement is taken. Next one, I'm skipping certain points in between to avoid confusions. You have done configurations and you moved configuration to production system. In production system, cutover activities. In production system, you are doing cutover activities. When it comes to cutover activities, there is a list of cutover activities which we will talk, which we will understand in the upcoming sessions. So certain cutover activities that we have to understand from here is trial balance. This plays a major role in your cutover activity. When you talk about data migration, when you talk about cutover activity, trial balance will play a major role. Without a trial balance, you cannot hand over the system to the client, because no client will start the business today and straight away they will get into SAP. That is very, very rare. So every business which is getting into SAP, they are already in business, maybe from last 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, 1 year. In the existing business process, they are using an application which is non-SAP. That is called as your legacy system or existing system. That legacy system can be Tally, Oracle, JD Edwards, or any IT application which is supported for your accounting transactions. From this application, your client has decided to move on to SAP. When they are moving on to SAP, they will have a project plan prepared. According to the project plan, they have decided we will go live on 28th July. Assuming when we are going live on 28th July, there are certain points that you need to remember. I'll take this point alone. Now I'll come down. From this date, two things that you need to remember. First one is go live month. Second thing is previous month. According to this, go live month is July 2023. According to this, the go live date I have just taken the go live month. It is July 2023. Now you have to see what is the previous month of your go live month. This will be June 2023. First, you need to know the go live date because go live happens on a particular date. You need to know what is the go live date. From that go live date, identify the month and year of it. Let's say this is July 2023 is my go live month. According to this, my previous month is June 2023. Now you have something called legacy balances. Legacy balances are nothing but the existing balances. This is always go live previous month trial balance. Legacy balances, whenever you are talking about, you are specifically talking about go live previous month trial balance. According to this, you are going live on July 2023. Based on this, go live previous month trial balance will be your June 2023. Your legacy balances you need to get from we need to get June 2023 TB from the client. First, you need to receive the trial balance of June 2023 from your client. Without this, you cannot complete your cutover activity. Without this, you cannot complete your cutover activity and the data migration activity. Now, this June 2023 trial balance is going to contain the data till 30th June 2023. Till 30th June 2023, this data is taken and you have current month till date or current month go live date, because no company will go live on first day of the month. That is very rare, even though it happens, but rare instances you will have first day of the month your client is going live. Here this is your July 27, July 27, 2023. So I'll put current month go live previous date. Okay, this I'll write current month go live previous date, or instead I'll put go live month previous date. Now your go live month is July 2023. You have previous month which is June 2023. You have go live month previous date which is 27 July 2023. From this, whatever the dates that you have extracted, you need to make sure you are able to identify the data based on two things. I'll put three dates here now. One is, slowly you will understand all these points. First one is go live date. Second one is trial balance date. Third one is your cutover date. Last one is your catch over date. When you talk about go live date, when you talk about go live date, it is this 28 July 2023. Let me write this here. 28 July 2023 will be your go live date. Now, based on the go live date, you understood that trial balance is always taken go live previous month. When you talk about trial balance, it is always go live previous month. You are going live on July 2023. Previous month will be, trial balance date will be 30th June 2023. This is your trial balance date. For this date, you need to request or you need to receive the trial balance from the client. The cutover date is also the same. Whatever the month you are receiving the trial balance, that becomes your cutover date. It is the same. Now catchover date is the date, the previous date of your go live date. If you are going live on 28th July, cutover will become 27 July 2023. First, slowly we have to understand identifying and understanding logically these dates. If I tell you that this is the go live date, you must be in a position to understand, to implement this project or to migrate the data, what information you need on what date, how you will receive this information. Okay, previous month, here you are going to receive the trial balance. Trial balance you will receive from the client from here, but on the go live month, you are going live on 28. What about data till 27? From 1st July till 27th July, you are going to call it as catchover data. How this catchover data is uploaded in system and how this cutover data is uploaded in system, we need to understand. We don't need to go in depth into the technical terminology of SAP, what exactly is used in a real project, but you need to at least know the sequence process that is followed in any project, so that even with generic terminology you are able to talk, the other person should say that yes, this is how we follow in any project. Right, this technical terminologies and all automatically you will get to know based on your practice and all. Automatically things will come into your mind properly, but initially we have to focus on the concept, the logic which is used when you are working on any implementation project. Now here, when you are receiving the trial balance, first we need to understand what is the trial balance. So if I write a trial balance here, I'll simply put trial balance. In trial balance, you are going to have something called account name and account number, amount in local currency, and amount in group currency. Let me put this in this format. Let me expand this as well. Let's say this is how you're receiving the trial balance from your client. In the trial balance, I'm not writing the detailed account names and all. I'll simply put you are going to have data related to assets. You'll have data related to assets and you will have the asset number. Let's say one, I'm giving all stars. Amount in local currency, I'll put 1000. Amount in group currency, I'll put 100. Okay, next one, I will put liabilities. I'll say 2 series, some account number. This I'll say 2000. I'll put 200. Next one, I'll put incomes. I'll say something 3 series. I'll put 3000 here. I'll put 300 here. Last one, expenses. I'll say 4 series, 4400. Something like this, you will receive the trial balance. When you receive the trial balance like this, in short, your trial balance is classified into 4 account categories. Asset and liability treated as balance sheet account, income and expenses treated as P&L account. These two things I will merge and mention as balance sheet accounts. These two things I will merge and I'll mention these two as P&L accounts. So in trial balance, you are going to have balance sheet account plus P&L accounts. Now the end logic or the thumb rule of your trial balance is to make sure the balance of your each currency will be zero. If you do a total here for the trial balance, if I do a total for this trial balance, you need to make sure this is becoming zero. Currently, this is not becoming zero. If you look at the totals, it must be zero, whereas this is not becoming zero. If the trial balance total is not becoming zero, this trial balance is incorrect. It has to be 0.00. Even if it is 0.01, you are not going to consider this trial balance. You will inform your client that the TB is not matching. Your TB is not matching. You will send an email back to the client stating there is mismatch. It is your client responsibility. Your client will provide you the trial balance with making the total as 0. So whatever they are going to adjust, in the same way you are going to consider. Now when you are taking the trial balance, you need to focus on the account and the closing balance. In the trial balance, whatever the amount you see is called as account closing balance. For every account, you are going to look at the closing balance in TB or in trial balance. If you talk about asset, in general, asset will always show a debit balance. Asset will always show a debit balance. Let me put here debit, I'll put positive. Your asset will always show a debit balance. In short, it's a positive balance. So the amount should be positive here. Let's take 1000, or I'll make this. Okay, I'll take this as 1000. Second one, liabilities. Liability always show a credit balance. Credit balance is nothing but negative balance in SAP. Liability is nothing but credit balance. In short, this is a negative balance in SAP. Make sure you put a negative number here. Simply add a minus to this. This becomes negative number, and you will start seeing the amount is getting updated. You need to put the amounts in such a way that this becomes 0. Okay, if it is not becoming 0, you need to adjust amounts to make it 0. Third one, income. Income is always a credit balance or a negative balance. Copy this. Income is always credit balance, in short, a negative amount. Here I need to put a credit balance, which means a negative number. I need to put minus symbol here. I'll put minus here. Next one. Last one is your expenses. Expense always show a debit balance, in short, positive number. I'll copy the debit balance, which is this. I'll put this here. This is the basic fundamental of your accounting, nothing new in SAP. If you are able to understand these points, it is easy for us to understand what is trial balance, how you will migrate data from legacy system to SAP system. At this level, if you are strong, you will automatically get very good impression in whatever the project you work for. Okay, this is your expense, which is always a debit balance. When I put the number in the accounting format, when you're talking about accounting format, you are talking about debit balance, credit balance. Debit balance is always a positive number. Credit balance is always a negative number. When I put positive number, negative number, I am able to see the total value or the total amount of this is becoming 0. Okay, sum has become 0. If this is becoming 0, this is a valid trial balance. Now for every asset, for every liability, for every income, for every expense, there is something called breakup. There is something called breakup. So next you will have TB breakup. When you talk about TB breakup, you need to break down this trial balance into multiple partitions. If you talk about asset, If you talk about assets, in assets you are going to have different accounts. Let's say you have cash accounts. One sec. You are going to have cash accounts. You will have bank accounts. You will have customer accounts. You will have inventory and cash bank, customer, inventory, and let's say I'll have other current assets, etc. Like this you are going to have in asset. You're also going to have fixed assets and then other current assets. This is how you need to get the breakup of the asset. Now all this breakup, it is your responsibility to get from your client. Next one, when you talk about liabilities. In liabilities also you are going to have capital, retained earnings. Next one, loans, your vendors, and current, I'll simply put other current liabilities. Like this you will have the breakup from the liability side. Similarly, if you talk about incomes, you will have operating income, maybe non-operating income, other income, something like this. You will have the detailed breakup in your trial balance. For expenses, similarly, operating, non-operating, other expenses. Like this you will have the detailed breakup which you will get from your client or which you will get from your user. You need to make sure that you are able to understand all these classifications, and the breakup of all this is again equivalent to the same amount. If I split the cash account, bank account, customer balances, stock balances, fixed asset balances, other current assets, and whatever the asset total I have, it should match with the same thing. So when I take the breakup, the total of my asset should not increase, total of my asset should not decrease. It has to be the exact number with the detailed breakup. All this detailed breakup we need to understand for each and every classification of your asset, P&L account, balance sheet account. Once you have this information, you need to understand how you are going to load these balances into SAP. For this, first you are going to start from the master data. You are going to start from master data. When you are going to start from the master data, we need to understand what master data we have from the finance point of view. When I say from finance point of view, from FI side and from the CO side, what are the major master records that we will be creating? Let's say you will be creating GL account and you will be creating customers, you will be creating vendors, you will be creating banks, you will need material master, you will need cost centers, you will need profit centers, you will need internal orders, you will need fixed assets, you will need tax codes. Likewise, you need all the master records to be created before you start this migration activity. Once this is completed, you need to map the master data with the trial balance. If you're talking about GL, in the GL, whatever the accounts that you are mentioning, all these GL accounts are already created in the system. If the master record is not there, it is not possible for us to post any transaction, because transaction is dependent on the master data. Make sure master record is created. Accordingly, you are able to create the master data. Now we are not creating any transaction here. Whatever you are doing here, this is called as data migration or legacy balance upload. When you're talking about data migration or legacy balance upload, what we are going to do here, this is legacy balance upload. When you talk about legacy balance upload, you are going to have, okay, here we will have only one side of the entry with us. When I say we will have only one side of the entry with us, whenever you're talking about data balance migration or legacy balance migration, you need to load the balances into the system. It is not possible for us to load any balance into the system without accounting entry. You must pass one debit, you must pass one credit, without which it is not possible to create any accounting entry or any value addition or any value deduction in the system. In short, from accounting point of view, for which you need to record one debit credit accounting entry. In order to write a debit entry, in order to write a credit entry, you must require debit GL account or the debit account, in short credit account. Here you will have only one side of the entry with us from the TB. From the trial balance, you will get only one side of the entry. Now we need the offsetting account to upload TB into SAP. From the trial balance, you are getting only one side of the accounting entry. You will require the offsetting account to upload trial balance into SAP. Now, the offsetting account is called as technical or takeover or migration account. You call the offsetting account as technical account or takeover account or migration account. People will call it with different names. Make sure you are not getting confused. You understand what are these accounts. Okay, and you need to pass accounting entry. We need to pass accounting entries to upload TB into SAP. In order to upload your trial balance into SAP, you need to pass accounting entry. So here your accounting entry is typically, you have four classifications here. From your trial balance, you have four classifications. These are the four classifications on this. First one, asset. According to asset, we are assuming that asset always shows a debit balance, which means a positive number. If your asset is showing positive balance in your trial balance, in your accounting entry, you are going to write asset debit followed by takeover account credit. Followed by takeover account credit. For the liability side, it is the same thing. If your liability is credit, you are going to put liability on the credit side. Missing side is your takeover account. Look at the trial balance, see what balance you are having on the TB. If your trial balance contains a debit balance, put debit to the respective account, and the credit side you take it to the takeover account by default. When it comes to liability, if your liability is showing a credit balance, here you put liability on the credit side. I'll put liability account, I will be crediting. If liability account is crediting, which is missing? Debit is missing. So I need to add this account. Takeover account debit followed by liability account credit. This is what the accounting entry I am going to write when it comes to migration of liability accounts into SAP. Third one, incomes. It is again the same logic. If your income is showing a credit on the trial balance, take income on the credit. Blindly take income on the credit. To complete the accounting entry, debit and credit both are needed. You have a credit, you are missing debit. Whatever the missing side that you have, debit, you take it to the takeover account, debit, followed by income account credit. Last one, expense account. Expense account, same logic. In your trial balance, you are able to see expense account on the debit side. Take expense on the debit side, followed by your takeover account credit side. This becomes your accounting entry. This is the nature of account, and these are the accounting entries that you are going to write for the data migration. These accounting entries first you need to remember before you remember or before you understand, before you learn any accounting entry. Okay, before you understand any accounting entry, it is very important that you know these accounting entries. Okay, once we are clear with this, in the next session I will talk about how exactly we will write this accounting entries. How do we understand this trial balance? Before understanding this trial balance, before understanding this accounting entries, we are not supposed to start anything related to our SAP FICO, because this is the first activity before you hand over your SAP system to the client. This is what is supposed to happen, and as a FICO consultant, you are the one who is going to work on this. And if you say that I do not know this, I have no experience on this, whatever the knowledge, whatever the idea that you have about SAP FICO may not sound valid or may not hold that much value in the market. So you need to make sure the points, the things that you are aware of will have good value in the market. Okay, so this is what we've discussed today. I want you to go through all these points and make sure any doubts, any questions that you get on these points, keep a note of all your questions, doubts, so that in the next session, before starting the class, I will answer all your questions, confusions, whatever you have. Okay, let me stop the recording for now.